inside, my eyes keep wandering. My eyes fly to the flue, where my stockings are hanging. Yes, therefore, oh Papa, give them to me. Santa, fill my stockings, I yell. I put in my hands and take out a juicy orange and 2 red apples. The other stocking contains candy, Santas, some raisins and a piece of grapevine, and an iced cookie. But the last item is the most lovely one of all. On a penny postcard was a picture of a little bedroom just like the one at Grandpa's. 2 lovely children in white nightgowns kneel by the blue bed. A beautiful woman in blue sits in the rocking chair nearby, and a shining angel floats in the air on white wings above them. Then, to make it all complete, written underneath are the words, "Now I lay me down to sleep." I clasped the card to my heart in an ecstasy of delight. If I had had all the money from all the oil fields in Arabia, I could not have been a happier child that Christmas night. Uh,
Okay.
and there's one before this where it was raining. My father stayed on here. When we arrived at the parsonage, the sky was still overcast and rain was falling, but not quite so heavily. At this time, the Reverend Carlisle Webster was our minister. He met us at the door and graciously welcomed us into the parlor where we stood to make our vows. I shall never forget the solemnity of that occasion, and I often wonder how many people who stand before their God to repeat the beautiful words of the marriage ceremony fully realize the true meaning of that sacred rite. Here we stood, a young man and young woman, who, although we had had so, in many ways, a similar upbringing, were yet people of vastly different personalities. The merging of 2 lives in marriage is never easy, and sometimes ends in failure, especially when people depend on their own strength rather than on the grace of God. We knew that this marriage, like all others, would bring clouds as well as sunshine, tears as well as joy. As we said the oft repeated words, "Till death do us part," I realized to the full the meaning of the promise that I had made, and with my whole heart I meant to keep that sacred vow. As the last prayer of the ceremony ended, and we were pronounced man and wife, I knew that my husband, in his own way, was thinking thoughts similar to my own, and no matter what the future held, of joy or sorrow, he would faithfully walk by my side through the passing years. When we left the parsonage, after our minister had wished us God's blessing and said goodbye, the clouds had all rolled away, and the sun was shining in all its splendor. Although it had been a very stormy beginning, our wedding day turned out to be a lovely one. After all, after the most enjoyable trip to the mainland, we returned to the island, and on Sunday evening, the 21st day of June, we arrived at our home in Johnson's River. As we drove up the lane to the house where my husband, his father, and other members of his family were born, I noticed the shrubbery at the front door. The season of lilacs was over, but the roses were lovely in their full bloom. The sun was sinking low in the western sky, and its parting rays shone brightly through the windows of the old house. As I stood there, lost in the wonder of it all, I knew that my days of wandering were over. I had come home to the house of my dreams. and she said yourself, stay as long as you like. Of course, I didn't intend to do that. But anyway, when that was months before this happened, before the wedding. And in the meantime, there was a thunderstorm, and wasn't the house struck by lightning and burned?
Oh my.
And then I had the invitation to go, and she wrote and she said, oh, Bertha, she said, what an awful thing happened. The house, there's no house, the house is in ashes. But she said, if you wish to come, you can stay with us where we're living, and it's not a fancy place, she said. It's the butcher house, where he was a man who sold and bought cattle, He would buy some cattle and then he'd sell them as a profit, and we make more money. That's the kind of a businessman he was. And she said, it's not too bad. There's a room where you can sleep. It's clean, she said. But next to that room, she said, you'll hear chickens peeping all night. And as soon as the light put on, those chickens will start, But that's what you're going to hear the first thing in the morning, the chickens. But she says, if you wish to put up with all that, you can come. So it was really almost worse than she described it. But we didn't care. We didn't care about that. We were from the country, both of us. He really enjoyed it.
How long did you stay?
We were married on Wednesday. We came home on Sunday. So our honeymoon was very.
So your honeymoon, you slept with the chickens?
Yes, it was very short.
So tell them what you did now, what they did for you when you came home. They had a chivalry or something, didn't they?
No, they had a supper. They had a supper for us when we came home.
A community supper or a family supper?
A family supper.
At Dad's place?
Yes.
Okay.
How did you get over to Sussex, New Brunswick? Whose car did you take?
PJ lent his car. And we were big fellas, rich people from Prince Edward Island. PJ would have, one of the nicest cars on the island because he.
Would you have to crank it with a crank?
No.
No.
Stays on its own.
I don't think so.
What kind of a car was it, I wonder? What kind of a car?
Well, your father would know. I don't know.
So they had a supper for you, and then what?
Well, we had a supper and spent a family evening talking and so on, and then the Sunday we went to church, and Leslie Boyce, Leslie Boyce, and Mrs. Leslie Boyce was an awful nice old person, and she came over to congratulate me, and she said, Wilson has a nice wife, she said. And somebody over behind us, I guess they didn't think they were going to be heard. She said, I guess she's missing Leslie had one.
But I thought they had a shower for you at the orphanage, didn't they?
Oh, well, that was just a couple of women from mermaid towels and pillowcases and things like that, But they had a nice shower for me home.
That's what I was thinking
They had
of.
a lovely
In Lorne
shower
Valley?
for me home. No, Peaks.
Oh, no.
They had a lovely shower, and there was a big piece of the paper for it. And how the bride had graciously thanked everyone for their gifts, and how she was wished the very best of happiness on their wedding. So I had embroidered a bedspread and pillow strips and all this kind of stuff. And in the center, there was an N, and she thought that this was the initial from McDonald, this old Mrs. Much. She was one that had to have the news for miles away. And she says, and what's the N for? I says, it's for McIntyre.
For McIntyre, good for you.
She didn't say anything after that.
That was smart, Maura.
You didn't have to ask her the questions because she.
How much was your salary when you were at the orphanage?
$15, or in plainer words, 50 cents a day.
50 cents a day. So what did you do when you were there?
Oh, my work, I loved my work. Well, we get up in the morning and we got children. I had charge of 17 preschool children.
17?
17.
Ooh. How many children would be at the orphanage at that time?
Oh, between 50 and 60 years. No more than 75, I don't think ever.
So, do you remember one of the little prayers? Can you still remember one of the little graces?
Yes, I believe it's in there or something.
So how many women would work there?
How many girls?
Yes.
Well, they were always complaining in the district, there's too many there. They shouldn't have all that staff there. And if they worked there, they'd see it wasn't that easy. You take 17 preschool children, that's not easy.
No.
It's awful hard on your nerves. And in dark days, we'd have the children upstairs on a room, couple of stories high. And I had them this day, and she came up, and she said, anybody coming into this lane would think they were going into a madhouse. Now she says, I want this noise cut right out. There's other things that you can do to these children without tearing around the room and galloping around the room. Anybody in the house would think there's crazy people. So then she just leaned on her heel and left. So I said, now what do I do? There's some books here. I'll start reading the children's book. So I got them all sitting down around me and I was reading the book. A few minutes up, she comes again. There's nothing can be done with these children over to sit down and look at them and read a story to them. That's a healthy way to bring up children, isn't it? Children need exercise.
So did you have one day a week off?
Yes, we were very fortunate. Other people working in a position the same would only have a half a day.
So what did you do on your day off?
Well, usually we went to town. We were much more welcome to go to town than we were to stay home eating the food.
Did you walk to town?
Oh no, we walked to the station around Turberton and got on the phone, got on the
Train.
train.
Read me the grace, Mom.
That's the
Read
grace.
the little grace that was.
Yes. No, this isn't a prayer. The grace. This must be a prayer, one of their.
Bedtime prayer.
This is one of the evening prayers of the morning.
Okay.
O Lord Jesus Christ, who has taken little children in thy arms and blessed them. Bless, we beseech thee, us thy children. Grant that we may grow up in thy fear and love. Give unto us day by day strength and guidance, so that we may continue in thy loving service into our lives' end. And grant this, O blessed Savior, for thine own name's sake. Amen. And this is the night prayer. Jesus, friend of little children, be a friend to me. Take my hand and ever keep me close to thee. Teach me how to grow in goodness daily as I grow. For thou hast been a little child, and surely thou must know. Never leave me, nor forsake me. Ever be my friend, for I need thee from life's dawning to its end. Now why I included that, I said, strange, that I would remember those little prayers over all those years.
Wonderful.
It's strange. But those are as clear in my mind as if it was yesterday.
How long were you at the orphanage before you met Wilson?
Hmm?
How long were you there before you met Wilson?
I was there 6 years. 3. I was there about halfway between. Oh, I had met him.
Did you meet him at a dance?
What?
Did you meet him at a dance?
No. But I had met him. Everything was going on. There'd be concerts there, there'd be church events there, and there'd be young people's things like that, and I'd be back and forth, you know,
And
with
skating
clothes
too.
and, oh, I knew him.
Didn't they come up there to skate?
Hmm?
Didn't they come up there to skate at the rink?
Yeah, yes, they come up to skate. I wasn't a skater. Well, I learned to skate, but I never was a good skater. Well, it was in the month of November, and the girl that was working at this home, she was getting married. So she had to have somebody take her place. So she wrote to me and asked if I would take it. Well, I would never refuse a job if there was one on hand, you know. 50 cents a day was precious in those days. So,
How old were you, Mom?
uh, how old was I then? That was before this other one.
The orphanage.
Yes, I would be in. Well, I had had a job. And then I come home because I had the measles and I was very sick, and my mother wrote and she said to come home because, you know, I didn't like hanging around. Everybody was busy, and he made me go to bed, and he waited on my hand and foot, and I didn't like this. I wanted to be able to run my own. So I was 17 at that time. But that's the other book.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Okay, you were up at 5 o'clock that morning to catch the train.
Yes, I was up at 5 o'clock. I heard the I heard the clock, you know, striking, and that was up time. And of course there was this, the man was married to your sister, you know, the mother of the,
Davies.
yeah. He says, I can see that house in my mind. It's so clear in my mind. I was up in the attic. There was the place for maids. And in the winter, you were shivering. I went there in November. I slept with a sweater on over my pajamas or whatever they were, and my stockings. Other than that, I'd freeze to death. And coming downstairs, they had very narrow stairs. Very, very narrow stairs. And narrow steps that goes that far against. And coming down, I missed the step when I got over the second step from up above. Well, of course, that ended up with me falling down the stairs and landing at the bottom of the stairs. And I was the next thing to knocked out. I had my senses to a degree, but that was all. I sat with my back to the wall for a few minutes to get my senses, so I'll see if I can get up or not. But when I got up, as I said in the book, the kitchen was swimming around like this, and the stove was swimming. And I had to go and sit down for another little while with my back against the wall, and then finally, I made it to my feet. But the first thing I heard just after I had everything nicely ready for supper was this man's step comes down the hall. And I knew the number of people that were there, but I didn't know anything much about them. So the only thing that's wrong with me there, my stomach turned from the shock of falling. I felt headwise, you know, and my stomach turned from the shock of it, and I was taking deep breaths to try to keep from getting sick. So this fellow walked in, and I was trying to keep everything as cheerful as possible so no one would catch on I was sick. So I said, good morning, as cheerful as I could. He never looked on, he heard me. So we walked over to the end of the table, and I said to him, I have some porridge made, would you like some porridge? Or maybe you'd like some toast with an egg? No, he said. Well, I says, would you like the porridge? I'll get it, he said. So he went and he got himself some porridge. So I went then after his dishes were used, I went to wash the ones that he had left. And that fellow never spoke to me in all the time I was there. He was going to university, or I guess it was college thing. I don't suppose this university was here at the time, I don't think so. I'm not up on those dates. But anyhow, he and I never spoke. I said to myself, you're going to be the first fellow to speak to me. I'm not going to be the first to speak to you. So during that time, he never spoke to me and I never spoke to him.
Okay, Grammy.
I start to water. The year of 1936 was drawing to its close. The weather was cold, but not stormy, and there was enough snow down for good traveling. We traveled by horse and sleigh, as we did not own a car. We had been invited for Christmas dinner to the home of my husband's family, as I was a new bride and not very experienced in the culinary arts as yet. Our Christmas plans did not include much in the way of extras, but I had cleaned and polished the old house from top to bottom, and I planned to have a tree, just a small one, for we had no store-bought decorations. On Christmas Eve, we went to the woods to cut and bring home our tree. It was a lovely green spruce, just the right size to stand on our living room table. I had never trimmed a tree before, and my decorations had to be the result of my own ingenuity and imagination. After I set the tree in the old antique jar and placed it in the center of the table, I assembled my material: some cranberries, popcorn, tin foil, cotton wool, scissors, darning needle, and a ball of fine red yarn. With the needle, the yarn was drawn through the berries one by one. Now what a job that is now. Auntie and I had a long red rope to twine around the tree. Next, the popcorn and tiny balls of white cotton wool were placed on the boughs to represent snow. Also, banks of cotton wool snow surrounded the base of the tree. To make the star, I first drew one on a piece of cardboard. This was used as a pattern for the tin foil star, which was secured to the base of the tree. Icicles cut from silver-colored tea packages completed the effect. The setting sun shone brightly through the west windows as I worked, and the heat from the little room stove blew out the sweet woodsy odor from the tree. As this was our first Christmas together, all our friends remembered us, and we received a large number of cards. I had carefully hoarded them in the cupboard as they arrived, and to be taken out and reread on Christmas Eve. As darkness fell, I lit the kerosene lamp, and we read the year-old story of the Saviour's birth from the Gospel. Our cards were brought out, and we read them together. Then my husband arranged them in a circle around the base of the tree. They were all lovely, but one card was especially beautiful. It pictured the three wise men on camels, journeying to a little town far in the distance, and overhead, leaning ever onward, shone the star. With a heart full of happiness and thanks to God, I read the beautiful greeting. Dear Bertha and Wilson, may the star that led the wise men to the humble manger inn shine out for you and lead you too through all the days ahead. Now, the woman who sent us that card, she was they were that couple. They were the father and mother of John and Leslie. And now John and Leslie would book.
Where's my name in
The
this
time
book?
I read about my brother's death.
Oh, yeah. The story of Alan,
And it
who
came
may no
true.
longer.
It came true almost to the very day.
Yeah.
And that's one I don't suppose the people are going to will believe.
Oh, yes, they believe it all. They believe it all.
You think they do?
Oh, sure, why wouldn't they? When it was you that wrote, why not?
machine. We can watch it on
I,
television.
Dad, there's
I
you.
never saw one before.
It's been around for a while, but we're gonna watch it on television. You can stick it in your television.
Yeah, I've often heard video, I never saw one
We'll
before.
have it on television. Maybe we can probably show it to you sometime.
You can, they have one here.
Do you find it awful hot here?
Yes, it is warm. I think it's time you're gone.
Where's Wilson?
Just driving to town or something and looked down, you saw Paul Steve.
No, I was coming from the station and I looked and I could see these things shining up just through the mud, you see, and the trail, and I got off and I was trying to give it a kick with my foot that broke the corner off one of the teeth. But it was one of the neighbors, and he said he couldn't eat with them in, and he was eating an orange. He took the teeth out to eat the orange, and this is what happened. I fell off the seat of the truck when he slammed the doors up. PJ and another one that this woman said that the last loaf of bread I got here, she said, was spoiled. And why did you take it back here? Well, he ate it. Oh, well, if he ate it, he'll pay for it, he said.
What was the story about the chicken? Was it Tammy was telling you?
Yeah, and wasn't there a story about a chicken that she said she was in the store and she picked up a chicken, she said it smelled bad?
Yes,
Smelled it.
it smelled bad. And he said that somebody caught you with the legs and pushed you back. It smelled bad too. Oh, he was fit friendly, PJ.
Grimby told us this morning that he gave his car to take on your honeymoon.
No,
Whose car was that?
no, we had our own.
Oh, your own car.
He gave me his watch, so.
Oh, your watch.
Yeah, he gave me his watch.
How was that trip?
What?
How was that your first trip off the island?
Yeah, my first trip. Over to Sussex, New Brunswick.
Do you remember much of that?
Well, over to Bertha's aunt. They had a lovely big house before that, and the house got burned. And they were just living in the cookhouse. Her husband was a butcher, and they were just living in like what the cooks or the staff lived in the slaughterhouse at that time. But it was, it was quite comfortable. Of course, it was June, it wasn't the summer, like the winter time or everything, but it was good. Yes, that was my first trip.
So you drive a car on the old ferry. It must have been a wooden ferry, was it?
The old ferries, yeah.
Yeah.
Across from New Brunswick.
That's a good thing. Get off the island.
Yeah, so it's at that time.
See it from a distance.
I don't know what other ones they had.
What kind of a car was it then? Do you remember the car?
Yeah, no, the Soda,
What year was it?
29.
Yeah. Was that one of your first vehicles, was it?
No, he had a Model T Ford.
Oh yeah. Your grandfather had a car at one time, didn't he?
No, my grandfather had a car. No, my father bought the car in either 1919 or 1920. He had the Model T, and then he bought this one in 1929, the Soda.
Cars were very rare on the road, were they?
Oh no, there was quite a few of them at that time, but there wasn't too many when he bought the Model T.
Yeah.
I remember he used to go down to the churchyard and he wouldn't go in the churchyard, he was very scared of the horses.
Yeah.
He'd drive into the graveyard.
You know, you drive at certain times of the year, you wouldn't drive in the wintertime, of course, would you?
Oh no, there's no way of driving in the winter time. Although my father and I went to town every Sunday in February one year across the fields and followed the horse track. Couldn't have been a storm all February. The horse track was, sleigh track was winding fairly well, and we went right to town in February. Every Sunday in February, I can remember that, went to church.
So how long ago was it that you first got the first tractors?
First tractor we got in 38, I think.
That'd be a rare thing then.
Yeah, and they were weren't too, very few had them.
Any of the equipment that you could use the same equipment as the horse equipment, or had the all equipment?
Oh yeah, we had a great big heavy set of wheel harrows, 16 discs. That really should have had 4 horses in them, and we put that behind the tractor.
The same piece of equipment, just different hitch.
Yeah, well, you just hook it on to the first of it had a truck under the front of it, But the truck, I think, the truck broke and Kenneth was a young lad, I think it was Kenneth. No, not Kenneth Blair. And he drove over the cart and smashed it, so we just made a trip and hooked it right onto the drawbar. There were no wheels under the draw, just hooked it, just like two clamps, with a pin down through, like you hook a trailer on.
What kind of farm equipment would you have, like, that was used by horses?
Well, it was just, that's what we had. We had to clear up the plow. We had to buy a plow, a 3-bottle plow.
So what other equipment did you have before you got the tractor? Just farm, just horse equipment?
Yeah, just horse equipment, yeah.
You'd have what kind of,
Springton tires and drag tires. But the tractor would haul more. I used to go and get the end of a neighbor's drag tires, and I put 5 sections of a drag tires behind the tractor. And that would take a swath of, as far as from here to the wall.
12 feet or so?
Oh, yes, easy.
So save a lot of work to tractors.
Yeah. And I remember when we started cutting grain with the tractor, we used to cut the back swath with the horses, and then take the horses out and put the tractor on it. And I remember my father saying, well, boys, I won't be dead or cold in the grave. You fellas won't bother with the horses at all. And that's what we did. We never bothered with the horses. Just drove right into it with the tractor.
So you must have thought a tractor was a good thing, or it's kind
Well,
of a fancy thing, or what?
I guess he thought the tractor, would break it down more. But it was only really one wheel, because one wheel of the tractor went the same wheel of the big wheel of the